Excited, uh, uh, a little closer to actually playing somebody. I guess we're, I don't know, 8, 9 days, 10 days away from playing an exhibition game. The older guys are ready to go play. They've been great. You guys have sat here and listened to me for 3 years, complain about leadership and personality and all those things, and there's nothing to complain about when it comes to that right now. It's those guys have been absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't have asked them to take that on. And here's in that world, especially in today's day and age with that generation, that age group, everything they're taught to be so self-centered. Who's got the most followers on this or that, and who's the most popular Instagram guy, and all that nonsense, which is all centered around attention towards the individuality. As a teammate, when you're a junior, when you're a senior, and there's a talented freshman, the coaches are asking you to help. Well, the more you help, you have to realize that if it's a talented player, you're also jeopardizing the opportunity of losing your starting job to a first-year guy. So you have to be extremely unselfish and about everything in your body, your soul has to be about the team when you're willing to do that. And our guys are not concerned with jobs and who's playing and who's not playing. They're consumed with winning. And winning beyond the years that they're here. So it's real fun to be around. It's real fun to be around. They're a fun group of guys. Their personality's great. But those old guys, they're kind of ready to go play against somebody right now.
Frank, is there kind of a feeling from you and the staff about this is the team that we've been waiting on for 4 years, that you finally have the height and the depth and everything you want to compete?
Yeah, I felt that way last year. I mean, we're just a year more prepared for what the season's going to throw at us. Everyone's a little more confident. Just because we're a little older, we understand each other better. We know how we're all going to act when you're in the fire, when you're in the middle of the whole thing, and when you're around people you really trust, you're not as concerned because you know what's going to happen. Mendogas, Lamonis, Michael, Brian, Sindarius, Justin, Dwayne, that core group of guys, we've been through it all for the last couple of years, and none of us have flinched, and so that builds an unbelievable amount of trust in us for each other, and when you've got a group of guys like that, you tend not to you sleep pretty good every night. And by the way, another bit of advice. Don't let your significant other buy you a smartwatch and wear it at a press conference. It's a major distraction when you're trying to express yourself and it's vibrating on your wrist every 2 minutes.
I get to follow that. You were talking last time we were here about, it's just all about the offense, and you're going to put in the defense like usual a little bit later. Have they bought in that area the way you want?
Yeah, they're trying. We're just not very good defensively right now. And it's effort's been great, personality's been great. Defensively, we have not been real good. And am I surprised? No, because here's the one thing that we have. Guys have been through it, and guys have got no clue. We don't have no middle ground. Outside of Marcus Stroman, we got no middle ground on our team. And so there's always a guy in the middle of the whole thing, that's trying to figure stuff out. So you have a lot of breakdowns whenever you have guys. You got 4 guys playing at a certain speed or 3 guys playing at a certain speed with certain disciplines, and you've got two guys that can't play as fast because they are not as comfortable mentally with what they're supposed to do. So they're a little late on things. They don't understand the urgency on other things, and but they're fine. They're fine. It's we'll get better defensively as we move on. I'll say this: we've had more blocked shots and more charges taken than we have had in any team since I've been here, and that means that we're fighting to protect the rim, that we're bigger, athleticism, urgency, all those things are there.
Questions? Frank, a couple weeks ago, when Sin was here talking to us, and you said he had a little more pop, a little more jump. Is that continuing to increase as we go through practice?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever wanted to see somebody have a great year as much as I'm wishing he stays healthy so he can play well. He's a fighter. He's a battler. Last year, for him to get through last year and help us be a good team with the circumstances and his knees, they weren't shot. I got shot knees. He's just in pain. And it's the first time in his life that his body betrayed him. So he didn't mentally. He lost a lot of confidence, but he kept battling. And so he's been great. His attitude, his speed, his aggressiveness, his shot, just everything's better because he's got legs underneath him, and he's got a great mental disposition right now for what we're doing and for the game and for his team. It's hard to root for people individually when you're trying to win games as a team, but I'm really rooting for him to have a real good year. Our team needs it, but he needs it even more. He deserves it.
Coach, how big of a year is it for Marcus right now, given his illness last season, and also was he looking like right now?
He keeps turning the ball over. He's going to be sick again. Sick of me. That's what he's going to be sick of. It's Stroh is awesome. Stroh committed to us before he even bounced the ball as a junior in high school, and he committed to us when I was new here. And let's be honest, our team wasn't very good, and he could have changed his mind, and he never did. On the contrary, on his days off from his high school practices or games, he'd come and watch us practice. And, Zach Norris, his high school coach, did such a great job in preparing him that he was able to help win games as a true freshman. And if he hadn't gotten sick, I think Stroh's one of the top 5, 6, 7 freshmen in the conference. That sickness, when you're a freshman and you lose 20 pounds right in the middle of it, and then at the end of the year, he started helping us again. So he's great teammate, just great teammate. It's important for him right now, his talent, his mind, his ability to play the game is as a point guard. He needs to learn how to verbalize it and be more demanding. And some of the mistakes and turnovers that I'm joking about that he's had in practice are because he makes the right play and his teammates has not made the right play. Well, he needs to learn how to demand that his teammate get to the right place, and that's what point guards do. All the great ones, they don't turn the ball over, and they make sure that their teammate gets where they belong, and that's his next step. That's going to happen. It's his demeanor. He's fun. I'm just telling you, he's got a great personality. Just another guy in that locker room that brings people together. You can tell who the guys are because when practice ends, good practice, bad practice, you see players kind of migrate to certain guys. And he's one of the guys that they all migrate to. And that tells you a lot about who he is as a person.
Coach, you had mentioned before Brian Steele being a different role this year, I guess helping out as a volunteer assistant. Or what do you like about him in that role?
Yeah, I don't believe in raising my voice to coaches in practice. I don't believe in that. But I actually had to raise my voice on him a couple days ago. You know, it's I say jokingly, we've one of the responsibilities we've given him is that he has to have prepared for practice for every drill that we do in practice and every 5-on-5, 4-on-4 segment. He's have to have predetermined teams. I'm not big this early on saying, okay, you 5 guys wear black and you 5 wear garnet and keep it that way. I believe in keep mixing and matching and so I can figure out who plays well with who doesn't, who gets along with who plays better here, who plays better there, who's going to be more helpful in games with guys that aren't assured to make sure they get to the right place and all that. So we went out to practice and I said, Brian, all right, let's go, get us in our teams. I thought he was speaking in Chinese. I said, Brian, you're gonna coach. You got to speak up, man. Get that out of your system. And but he's been great. You know, he's got a desire in his heart for our basketball team that's phenomenal. And he's got great spirit. He's got think about this. We beat Kentucky 2 years ago. He was right in the middle of the whole thing. I'm not talking about the celebration. I'm talking about making the plays to help us win the game. And that's the kind of spirit that he has. He's believed in this from day one, and he continues to do that. And at the same time, you know, he's in the transition phase now. You know, mentally, he's a teammate. He's in there with them every day. He's in the locker room with them every day. But once practice starts, he has to start thinking like a coach. And you can ask him when you see him. I spent a lot of time during practices just in his ear about handling certain situations and something that I've never spoken to him about. This is when this is going on, this is why I do this, just to give him perspective of the other side of the fence. And I think he's going to be a heck of a coach if that's what he chooses to pursue, which is his mindset right now.
Frank, going back to Sind for a minute, when the tendonitis really began to manifest itself last year, how big of a challenge was that for you in terms of maybe trying to manage his minutes? And then were there just things he just physically could not do, or he became more tentative trying to do?
He managing his minutes was just never. He wasn't going to let me do it, and my challenge with him was more practice and off days and that kind of stuff. But he's so entrenched with winning, and he knew that we had 7, 8 guys a certain stretch of the season last year. He couldn't take a day off, or else play marbles. I mean, seriously, what were we going to do in practice? He wouldn't throw a towel in, and you know, it says a lot about him. Says a lot about him. He pain is not discomfort is not something that he gives into, and we've been a lot more careful with him in the off season, and hoping that we can get it to where when this season starts, he feels good. Right now, he feels real good, and it's important as an athlete. Sometimes when you have his demeanor, you don't let people know that you're uncomfortable. He's got to be honest with us there, and he will, because last year was such a bad experience for him that he's learned that, and he's got to be honest with us if there is discomfort there, so then we can manage things differently. I think what happened last year, I shouldn't say I think, I know, he thought he can, just a little discomfort, I'll be okay. And by the time he started sharing with us the discomfort, it was so deep that you're in the middle of the season that the only way to get tendonitis to go away is by not doing anything. It's just knee tendonitis, patella tendonitis is I live with it. It's unbearable. You know, so, but he's healthy right now, and he learned. I learned. We all got better because of that.
I know he's had his ups and downs and ebbs and flows with his career, but on this year's team particularly, how do you see Justin Mackey fitting in?
I'm knock on wood. I think he'll be back at practice tomorrow, because I think I told you guys he pulled his hamstring. He hadn't practiced since. He's grown up a lot. You know, he's grown up a lot. He's I think he'll tell you that he's not one of the greatest defenders ever put on the planet Earth, but he's become a heck of a teammate that's really bought into our system, and he's gotten better. He could score, but he's learning how to score within our concepts, not just go out there and score. And another guy, players kind of flock to him. He's got a personality. He's got a charisma. The Mackey family has been unreal to our basketball team. They make our guys feel like family, and you know, I'm real happy with Justin right now. I'm excited for him to be out there tomorrow. He's you know, and you're right. There's been some uncomfortable days between he and I. But that's okay. That's part of the. I've got uncomfortable days with my 16-year-old son every day at the house. So it's part of the deal. It doesn't make him a bad kid. It doesn't mean he's in a doghouse. It's just part of the deal. That's life. You know, we all think that everything is red as roses, and as soon as something's uncomfortable, that well, two guys don't like each other. No, man, it's you live with people. Heck, people get married, and there's a couple arguments that go on during the process. I'm real happy with Justin. I'm excited for him being back on the court tomorrow, and excited for the way he was playing before he got hurt, and hopefully we can get him back in there pretty quickly.
Frank, you've mentioned Marcus, and before you've mentioned PJ and how he plays at the point. Do you like Dwayne still playing a little bit of point guard, or do you want to maybe stick him mostly on the wing?
No, Sindarius would be the third person at the point. Dwayne's wired to score. That's why if you ask him, he'd tell you coming out of high school, he wasn't real interested in being recruited by people who wanted to play him at the point. You know, Dwayne's more wired to score, and we want to kind of keep him there. Now, if he has to play it, he will. But Dwayne's gotten real good at getting him in space, and he's learned how to create space by using screens and cuts, and he's worked so hard. Here's the thing he did worse in high school is what he does best right now, which is shoot the ball. And he's worked so hard at making himself a guy that when he's open, that ball's going to go in the basket more times than not, that we kind of want to keep him there. I don't want to convolute his mind with asking him to do things that he's going to do for a small amount of time. I'd rather him be real good in his mind and clear about what we need him to do most of the time.
Frank, last preseason, injuries and lack of bodies kind of hurt you guys to start. How has it been this preseason, to have your full complement of players and, implement your whole scheme?
It's been good. It's been good. It's been great to have some competition in practice. Like, for example, we had a couple guys, this is week four, and a couple guys were kind of just banged up and sore. And one guy, he didn't hurt his back. His back was bothering him. We gave him a day off yesterday. And we still had 12 guys to be able to compete with, which is fine because now we can spend more time with those first-year guys because now they're on the court getting all the reps, which means it drives me nuts, but that's part of the process, which is all a good thing. It means that we get to coach them, and they're being held accountable as if everything depends on them, so they understand what that feels like, and so it's been good. Competition is healthy. Anyone that says competition is not good, and all you got to do is take somebody and say, hey, that's your job. You don't have to work for it. See how long he keeps it. It's competition's a good thing. Keeping people on edge, striving to compete, to do better. That's the only way you have a chance to sustain any kind of success. So that's the first time we've had it since I've been here, and I think it's been real good for our team.
All right, we'll wrap things up with Brian.
You opened the press conference by talking about that you are playing somebody else next week. I know in the past you haven't, but with some of these new guys on the team, are you going to delve a little bit more into Allen and kind of go through the process with the game so closely behind that?
Yeah, we're actually playing someone else this weekend. But, excuse me. Neither can I. Little bit, we have to game prep going into that game. We don't get exhibition, the NFL, the NBA, pro sports. They get all these exhibition games to figure out, who the coach is going to get along with and who he's not going to get along with, and situations and all that stuff. So you can play around with your roster, and when you lose by 56, it doesn't hurt you. Unfortunately, in college sports, you don't have that luxury. You get those two opportunities that we'll have, and that's one of them. So we have to prep going into that game. Number one, to get our returning players' mindset back into business. And the freshmen that probably have never been through a scouting report, make them understand when we tell them, hey, number 21 on their team is nothing but a three-point shooter, get him off the line. Or number 15 goes to his left hand, can't go left. And when they make that mistake in that game and you take them out and you said, you read the board? You hear yesterday? How about tonight, this morning at our meeting? Did you not pay attention to where don't give that person threes? They need to understand how to go through that before we play in a game that counts. So we'll do some prep there and get them riled up and excited. And I think they'll do that on their own, given the fact that it's the first time they get to play in front of fans and with referees and television and all that. So it'll be good.